See you later.
What?
From explosive walkouts to jaw-dropping confrontations, some of our favorite rock legends have often found themselves in interviews that test their patience or question their craft, often revealing a raw and hidden side that most fans never get to see. However, other times, it could just be the occasional overindulgence in booze or a rock band's internal conflicts that leads to a blow-up on national television. Although booze wasn't the case in 1979, when Lydon, aka Johnny Rotten, and his new band, Public Image Limited, appeared on the television show Check It Out, hosted by Chris Cowie. The tension was evident from the start, as Lydon, known for his despise of the media, was already on edge.
We do not like cheap publicity, pseudo gimmicks, condescension and crawling. And that is what was expected from us tonight, was it not?
The interview took a dramatic turn when Cowie decided to show footage of the Angelic Upstarts, an English punk band, dissing Lydon and his band.
It had nothing to do with Johnny Rotten, right? Seeing as Johnny's on the programme, right? I just say, first of all, right, that I'm much better looking than Johnny Rotten. And that he's a terrible singer. And I'm glad Jimmy Percy's got his job in the Sex Pistols.
The footage was intended to provoke a reaction, and it certainly succeeded. Lydon, never one to back down from a confrontation, lashed back at the comments, dismissing them with his trademark scorn. However, Cowie was relentless, pressing Lydon for a more detailed response. With a mixture of frustration and defiance, Lydon finally snapped.
Look, I don't have to explain myself to anybody, and I ain't gonna really bother. Now, I was asked here, right, to interview with the band here, Pill, but now, like, we're facing a cheapskate comedy interrogation act, and it just ain't on, pal. It's a joke. It's a farce.
The tension in the studio was electric. Cowie, undeterred, tried to push for an answer one more time, but Lydon had reached his limit. In a dramatic move that would become legendary, he got up and walked off set, leaving Cowie and the audience in stunned silence. Although Johnny Rotten had the patience to berate Chris Cowie about his interviewing tactics, Prince, a man of few words, left this interviewer wondering what she did wrong. In 2010, Prince was in New York City for a concert at the iconic Madison Square Garden. During his visit, he decided to drop by the studio of The View, a popular daytime talk show. The hosts, including Sherry Shepherd, Whoopi Goldberg, Joy Behar, and Elizabeth Hasselbeck, were completely unprepared for the surprise visit.
But now, oh my God, wait, is that
Prince took a seat next to Sherry Shepherd, who was visibly starstruck. The hosts were thrilled to have him on the show and eagerly engaged in a light-hearted conversation. Prince promoted his upcoming concert and shared a few anecdotes, charming the hosts and the audience with his wit and charisma. However, the atmosphere took an unexpected turn when Sherry Shepherd, overwhelmed by the moment, blurted out,
You don't understand, Prince. I have wanted to make love to you for my whole life.
Prince, known for his composed and enigmatic demeanor, was visibly taken aback. In a split second, he shot up from his chair and left the stage, leaving the hosts and audience in a state of shock. Although Prince's quiet exit shocked the fans, the awkwardness was minimal compared to what Never Shout Never lead singer Christopher Drew did to this YouTuber. In 2012, Brian Stars, a well-known YouTube interviewer, sat down with the rising rock band Never Shout Never. However, it didn't take long for the atmosphere to change. Lead singer Christopher Drew, known for his candid and outspoken nature, began to show signs of irritation as the questions progressed. After a while, Drew addressed Brian Stars directly.
The thing is, you know, these guys don't appreciate questions that are bullshit, because these guys are real musicians. I don't know if you know that.
His words were a clear indication that he felt the interview was not respecting the band's artistry and dedication to their craft. Sensing the growing tension, Brian Stars attempted to steer the conversation back to the band's new album, hoping to salvage the interview. He asked the members to discuss their latest work, but the damage had already been done. Drew's irritation was evident, and the atmosphere remained charged. In a move that caught everyone off guard, Drew decided to wrap up the interview abruptly.
We're here to laugh and have fun, you know, but at the same time, you know, we want to be taken seriously for our art, man, because we put our passions into it. And I realize you put your passion into your art too, man, but make it more about the art and less about the scum. And that's it. Love you guys, you fans. This is for you. Not for this guy,
he said, gesturing towards Brian Stars. With those parting words, Drew stood up and walked off, leaving Brian Stars and the rest of the band in a state of disbelief. Lead singer Christopher Drew might have gotten angry over Brian Stars' type of questions, but at least it was just for a YouTube video. You won't believe what this interviewer did to English indie rock band The Ordinary Boys, lead Preston in front of a live audience. In 2007, Preston, the frontman of the English indie rock band The Ordinary Boys, found himself in an uncomfortable situation on the United Kingdom Kingdom game show, Never Mind the Buzzcocks. Known for its comedic and often irreverent tone, the show took a turn for the worse when host Simon Amstell decided to poke fun at Preston's then-wife, Chantel Houghton. Amstell, known for his sharp wit and sometimes biting humor, pulled out a copy of Houghton's memoir.
Paris Hilton work was a low point for me. It wasn't what I wanted to be doing, and on top of that, it caused me some real problems with my hair.
Initially, Preston tried to maintain his composure. He forced a smile and attempted to laugh along, but it was clear that, uncomfortable, Amstell, perhaps sensing an opportunity to push the boundaries further, continued to read more passages. In a moment that stunned both the audience and the show's crew, Preston reached his breaking point. He stood up from his chair, his face a mix of anger and disappointment. Without saying a word, he walked off the set, leaving everyone in shock.
The photo shoot was for the Daily Mail, which made me feel really posh and upmarket.
Oh, you I'll see you later. I can't do
What?
it. Sorry.
Oh no.
Despite the embarrassment, Preston endured till he couldn't. Brian May from Queen didn't even wait for this interviewer to get awkward. When it comes to rock legends, Queen's Brian May is often seen as a calm and collected figure, known for his exceptional guitar skills and composed demeanor. However, even he has his limits, as evidenced by an interview with the Dutch news program Twee Vandaag. The interview started on a shaky note. May made it clear from the outset that he wasn't there by choice.
I would not be doing this out of choice. I just don't want to disappoint you guys, that's all. I mean, really, I need to sleep.
Finally, May could no longer contain his frustration. In an unexpected move, May got up from his chair, apologized to the interviewer, and motioned to leave. He shook the interviewer's hand, expressing his regret for cutting the conversation short.
Right, 3 minutes left. If you want to do an interview, but I don't want to be watching bits of tape. It's ridiculous. Look, I'm sorry.
In a surprising twist, May returned to the interview moments later. He apologized to the camera, acknowledging that his behavior might have seemed abrupt. Despite his attempt to continue, May's frustration was evident. In a final twist, May decided to leave the interview for good. He apologized once more, expressing his need to focus on the upcoming show. This time, he did not return, leaving the interviewer and crew in a state of disbelief. Brian May might have left abruptly, but at least his interviewer was respectful. The Bee Gees weren't so lucky. In 1997, British talk show host Clive Anderson found himself in hot water during an interview with the legendary Bee Gees. The group, consisting of brothers Barry, Maurice, and Robin Gibb, were promoting a new album and were told that Anderson was a huge fan. But Anderson's approach was far from what they expected. Instead of focusing on their music, Anderson's questions and comments were laced with sarcasm and thinly veiled insults. As if that wasn't enough, Anderson went on to call them tossers, a British slang term for stupid person.
Before we became the Bee Gees, we were late tossers.
Yes.
Which we thought was...
You'll always be late tossers to me.
In a moment that stunned the audience and crew, Barry Gibb decided he had enough. He stood up and walked off the set. His brothers, Maurice and Robin, followed suit, abandoning the interview altogether.
Of course. We're getting on like a storm, aren't we, Clive?
Yes.
In fact, I might just leave.
Yeah. Oh, I've never had anyone walk out before, but...
We're a tosser, pal.
While the Bee Gees were annoyed the interviewer was ignorant about their craft and disrespectful, Billy Bob Thornton got mad because this interviewer was a little too respectful. It was in 2009 when world-famous actor Billy Bob Thornton made headlines for all the wrong reasons. Thornton, known for his roles in films like Sling Blade and Bad Santa, had ventured into the music world with his band. Thornton, however, had one strict rule for journalists: do not mention his acting career. But during the interview on Q, Gomeshi made the mistake of bringing up Thornton's acting career. The atmosphere in the studio quickly turned tense.
I mean, you guys formed, Billy Bob, you guys formed only in the last couple of years, right?
I don't know what you're talking about.
How so?
I don't know what you mean by that.
Thornton's behavior was erratic and unpredictable. He offered profanity, non sequiturs, and generally rude behavior. At one point, he even insulted everyone in Canada, calling them mashed potatoes with no gravy. This bizarre and offensive comment left both Gomeshi and the listeners in shock.
It's mashed potatoes with no gravy, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, we got some gravy up here as well.
Yeah, you do, actually, on a lot of things.
It might be considered one of our national dishes, actually.
Absolutely. I've seen that in several shops.
It's quite acceptable to argue Billy Bob Thornton was unnecessary mean, but at least he wasn't drunk like this next star Courtney Love. MTV's Kurt Loder sat down with Madonna after the MTV Music Video Awards in 1995. The interview started off smoothly, but things took a dramatic turn when Courtney Love, clearly far from sober, decided to crash the interview. From the sidelines, Love began throwing objects at Madonna, instantly capturing everyone's attention.
It's also...
Hi, Courtney.
Kurt Loder, perhaps sensing an opportunity for some unexpected drama, invited Love to join them on stage. At one point, Love accused Madonna of being rude to her on a prior occasion. Madonna, clearly taken aback, tried to steer the conversation back to more neutral topics, but Love was having none of it. In one of the most bizarre moments of the interview, Love got on her knees and told Madonna that she and her late husband, Kurt Cobain, loved her film Truth or Dare.
I went to Truth or Dare with Kurt, and we were leaving, he goes, "Jesus, that's you!" We were first going out. Really? Yeah, I think it was the line where Warren says, "Well, what doesn't belong on camera?" Right?
Okay, Madonna's running off. Well, it's all ended well.
This unexpected declaration seemed to freak Madonna out completely. She signaled to her team that she was done, effectively ending her participation in the interview. Corny Love was only drunk, and she created that much havoc. Imagine what this interviewer had to deal with speaking to a drug-addicted James Brown. In 1988, it was believed James Brown was addicted to PCP, also known as angel dust. This powerful hallucinogenic drug is known for causing erratic and unpredictable behavior, which would become evident during during the interview. Brown burst into song, seemingly oblivious to the questions being asked. His sudden musical outbursts left the interviewer and the audience bewildered.
What are you going to be doing on this tour?
I'm going to be doing Papa's Got a Brand New Bag, Living in America, Sex Machine, Get Up Off of That Thing, I Feel Good, Jam!
It was clear that Brown was not in a state to provide coherent answers, and the interview quickly spiraled out of control. In one particularly bizarre moment, Brown went into detail about his sexual prowess, completely ignoring the serious nature of the questions being posed.
Because I look good, I smell good, I feel good.
And you sing good.
And make love good.
This unexpected and inappropriate tangent further highlighted the extent of his erratic behavior. The interviewer struggled to maintain any semblance of control over the conversation. While the CNN anchor should be commended for how she handled James Brown, and this next interviewer definitely has one or two things to learn. In 2013, backstage at Lollapalooza, an interview with the electronic dance group Major Lazer, consisting of Jillionaire and Walshy Fire and led by world-famous DJ Diplo, took an unexpectedly awkward and combative turn. It was clear that the interviewer, known as Kennedy, had a different agenda. Kennedy's first target was Diplo. She mocked him for accepting $400,000 to perform in Dubai.
I flew to Dubai for $400,000. I played for the Prince of Who Gives a
How'd you know I got $400,000?
It's totally accurate. Baby, I know you're kind. I know that it is the greatest job in the world. So answer a serious question.
As the interview progressed, Kennedy's questions became increasingly bizarre and combative. In a particularly awkward moment, Kennedy asked the group who the most annoying person they've ever worked with was. Diplo, clearly fed up with the line of questioning, snapped back, "Probably you."
Who is the most annoying person that you've worked with in the last 2 years?
Probably you.
The tension reached its peak, and the interview had officially gone off the rails. Meanwhile, despite the awkwardness, Diplo and his Major Lazer group handled the situation amicably. However, the Sex Pistols weren't ready to take similar peaceful approach. In December 1976, the Sex Pistols, a punk rock band, appeared in an interview on British television's Today Show. The host, Bill Grundy, would soon regret ever meeting them. From the start, Grundy seemed disinterested in the band and determined to mock them. This antagonistic approach quickly provoked Johnny Rotten, the band's lead singer, to utter an expletive live on air.
Wonderful people.
Are they?
Oh yes, they really turn us on.
What do they do?
Well, suppose they turn other people on. That's just their tough tricks.
Which one?
Nothing, a rude word. Next question.
The shocking moment caused an immediate uproar, but the chaos was far from over. Grundy, perhaps trying to regain control of the situation, made the mistake of flirting with some of the women in the entourage. This only fueled the band's rebellious spirit. When Grundy asked the band to say something outrageous, he got more than he bargained for. The band members, including guitarist Steve Jones, unleashed a torrent of profanity and insults.
Go on, you've got another 5 seconds. Say something outrageous.
You dirty bastard.
Go on, again.
You dirty f***er.
What a clever boy.
What a
One could argue that the Sex Pistols uttered a bit too many F-words, and Chris Fane from Slipknot will agree with the way he handled this interviewer. In 2005, an interview between the eccentric music journalist Nardwuar and Chris Fane, also known as Number 3 from the heavy metal band Slipknot, went off the rails. The interview began with Nardwuar introducing Slipknot members Sean Crahan, also known as Clown, and Chris Fane, Number 3. From the outset, it was clear that Fane was not in the mood for Nardwuar's antics.
How do you think Sean has changed over the years with his mask?
Nardwuar, true to his style, asked a series of playful and light-hearted questions. He delved into obscure facts about the band and their influences, hoping to elicit interesting reactions. 3 minutes into the interview, Fenn had reached his breaking point. When Nardwuar put the microphone in front of his face, Fenn raised his finger, signaling that he was done. Without saying a word, he stood up and walked off from the interview, leaving Nardwuar and Crahan stunned.
Where's number 3 going?
He's leaving.
No, he can't leave right now. Number 3! Number 3! Number 3 has definitely left the building.
The interviewer's antics might have gotten Chris Fenn angry enough to walk away, but in Michael Jackson's case, it was the questions that almost brought him to tears. In 1993, the world tuned in for a highly anticipated interview between Michael Jackson and Oprah Winfrey. One of the most shocking questions was that Jackson wanted a white child to portray him in a Pepsi commercial. Oprah didn't shy away from asking him directly about this rumor.
That is so stupid. That's the most ridiculous, horrifying story I've ever heard. Number one, it's my face as a child in the commercial. Me, when I was little. Why would I want a white child to play me? I'm a black American. I'm proud to be a black American.
But the interview took an even more emotional turn when Oprah questioned him about his changing skin color.
The fact that the color of your skin is obviously different than it was when you were younger. Caused a great deal of speculation. Is your skin lighter because you don't like being black?
Jackson, visibly bristled at the question, explained that he had vitiligo, a skin disease that destroys pigmentation.
This is the situation. I have a skin disorder that destroys the pigmentation of the skin. It's something that I cannot help. Okay, but when people make up stories that I don't want to be who I am, it hurts me. So it's a problem for me, okay? I can't control it, okay?
Jackson's voice shook as he expressed the pain caused by the false narratives surrounding his identity. Nonetheless, despite the pain the questions caused Michael Jackson, he stayed until the end of the interview, probably out of respect to Oprah. However, YouTuber Brian Stars doesn't seem to get any of that respect, as shown in this interview with Zachy Vengeance. In 2010, an interview by Brian Stars with Avenged Sevenfold's guitarists, Zachy Vengeance and Sinister Gates, took an unexpected and awkward turn. The interview began like any other, with Brian Stars asking generic questions about the band and their music. However, just 2 minutes in, things started to go awry.
What's your most prized possession?
Probably my band.
Your band members or the name or?
The name. Not my band members. They're my best friends.
As Sinister Gates began to discuss the meaning behind their music, Zachy Vengeance looked around and abruptly left the interview, leaving his bandmate to handle the rest alone.
What's the meaning of your music and all that stuff?
Each song means something different, and we have no really huge meaning or self-defining sort of thing. We're just kind of living our life and doing that kind of thing.
I think we just lost one of our interviews.
Brian Stars tried to make a nervous quip about Vengeance's departure, but it was clear that no one expected this to happen. Poor Brian Stars. He never seems to have any luck with his interviews, but at least he's lucky enough not to have been the one to ask MGK about his daughter like this next interviewer did. Machine Gun Kelly, known for his fiery personality and public feuds, found himself in an emotional and raw interview at the 2018 Billboard Hot 100 Festival. The nearly 12-minute conversation covered various topics like his acting.
Did you shadow Tommy Lee, or did you?
Yeah,
what were the conversations you had with him about the role?
Yeah, I would pull up to his house. I remember throwing the script in his lap one time and was like, dude, this is such a weird, like this couldn't have gone down like this. He was like, nah, dude, like it was just like this.
But it was when MGK discussed his daughter that the interview took a deeply personal turn. As MGK opened up about his daughter and the music he writes for her, he became visibly emotional. The rapper, who is often seen as tough and unyielding, showed a different side of himself. MGK admitted that he doesn't feel like he's any good at interviews and that he better expresses himself through his music. His frustration was evident as he struggled to continue the conversation.
Man, I don't want to talk about this. Dude, I've done this so many times, dude. Can we just, I don't want to do an interview, man. Can we just do, like, I don't.
MGK.
Like, I want to let my music speak for me. I don't have shit to say.
MGK only wanted his music to speak for him. Sebastian Bach wouldn't even entertain the thought of analyzing his craft, as this interviewer found out. In the year 2000, former Skid Row frontman Sebastian Bach sat down for an interview with Much Music. The conversation started on a positive note, with Bach discussing his successful role in the Broadway production of Jekyll and Hyde and the money he was making on Broadway.
Who do you think makes more money?
You tell me, I don't know your deal.
However, the mood shifted dramatically when the interviewer mentioned a glam rock tour featuring Poison and other bands from that era. The mention of Poison was a turning point. Bach's demeanor changed instantly, and he snapped back at the interviewer, clearly insulted by the comparison.
There's a lot of people went and saw Poison and Skid Row.
This is over.
This. You don't think you share the same fans?
I don't care. I'm on Broadway. I don't want to talk about Poison.
Bach's anger was palpable as he cut the interview short, stating he couldn't see any similarities between Poison and Skid Row. A comparison of Poison and Skid Row made Sebastian Bach so angry that he violently left the interview. Only one could imagine what he would have done if he were in Rivers Cuomo's shoes in this next video. In 1996, Weezer's lead singer Rivers Cuomo appeared on the Australian program Recovery to promote their sophomore album, Pinkerton. The interview started on a sour note when host Dylan Lewis mistakenly called Cuomo River Weezer.
I'd like you to make very welcome a very special guest who has stopped over on the way to Livid. Please make welcome River. Hello. River Weezer. Thanks for dropping in.
Visibly irritated, Cuomo more or less refused to engage throughout the rest of the interview. He looked around aimlessly and avoided making eye contact with Lewis, adding to the tension. Cuomo claimed to be jet-lagged, but Lewis later stated that he believed the singer was wasted. The interview dragged on painfully, with Cuomo's lack of engagement and Lewis's attempts to salvage the conversation only making things worse.
Yeah, as soon as I graduated high school, I went across the country to LA to become a rock star. And it was specifically to go to be a rock star? Yeah. Yeah? Yeah, wow. Is it an easy job being a rock star? You get flowers and stuff.
Rivers Cuomo might have lied about being hungover to survive the interview. Ace Frehley and drummer Peter Criss from Kiss didn't in this next video. Appearing in full makeup, Kiss band members were expected to deliver an engaging interview with Tomorrow host Tom Snyder. However, Ace Frehley, who was intimidated by interviews, had other plans. Frehley and drummer Peter Criss got roaring drunk backstage, setting the stage for a chaotic and unforgettable interview.
The outfit is self-explanatory. I mean, you know, this is part of a kind of a V shape. This is my utility belt, and we don't want to go any below than my waist area because that's reserved for concert.
Frehley took over the entire conversation, cackling and cracking joke after joke. His behavior was erratic and unpredictable, clearly annoying bandmates Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley.
But you're kind of like a spaceman, huh?
No, actually, I'm a plumber.
Ace's behavior showed contempt and a lack of respect for the audience and the fans. Stanley and Simmons were visibly irritated, struggling to maintain their composure as Frehley continued his drunken antics. The tension between the band members was palpable, and the interview became a glaring display of the internal conflicts within Kiss. For more content like this, click on the videos showing on your screen now.